Hello, student. I, Dr. Shafali Jain, Assistant Professor at Thankar Mahavir University. Student, today we discuss about the introductory macroeconomics block 1, meaning and nature of macroeconomics. The term the term macro was first introduced in economics by Ragnar Frisch, a famous economist in 1933. It is used to describe study of aggregate and averages, covering the economy as a whole, such as total income, total employment, national income, aggregate demand, general price level, total saving, wage level, etc. It means economics is the study of production, consumption, and transfer of wealth. There are two branches of economics. We also study in the macroeconomics. Macro is the Greek root meaning large. It means large. And micro is the Greek root meaning small. The macroeconomics definition is the branch of economics studying the overall economy on a large scale. Macroeconomics means studying inflation, price level, economic growth, national income, gross domestic product (GDP), and unemployment. Microeconomics study things on at individual level, such as single person, a household, or one industry. So, in the simple words, macroeconomics is the branch of economics that deals with the structure, performance, behavior, and decision making of the whole or aggregate economy. The two main areas of macroeconomics reaches are long-term. So, the two main areas of macroeconomics research are long-term economics growth. Growth. Macroeconomics in its modern form is often defined as a starting with John Maynard Keynes, and his theories are about market behavior and government policies. In the 1930s, several schools of thoughts have developed since, as you also I have also written here. Keynesian economics is an Keynesian economics is an economic theory of total spending in the economy and its effects on output and inflation. As John Maynard Keynes also considered the father of macroeconomics, Keynesian economics was developed by the British economist John Maynard Keynes during the 1930s in an attempt to understand the Great Depression. Keynes advocated for the increased government expenditure. Keynes emphasized that in the depression condition, government should increase the expenditure so that the people also get the employment and should lower taxes policy. So, John Maynard Keynes considered that in the depression time, government should increase their expenditure and should follow lower taxes policy. Uh, so, to to increase demand and pull the global economy out of the depression. It is in this way the government can the government can out of the economy from depression. Subsequently, Keynesian economics was used to refers to the concept that optimal economic perform could be achieved and economic slumps prevented by influencing aggregate demand through activist stabilization and economic interventions and policies by the government. Keynesian economics is considered a demand side. So, Keynesian also focus on the effective demand theory that focuses on changes in the economy over the short run. So, Keynesian economics focuses on using active government policy to manage aggregate demand in order to address or prevent economic recession. Keynes developed his theories in response to the Great Depression and was highly critical of classical economic arguments that natural economic forces and incentives would be sufficient to help the economy recovery. Activist fiscal, active fiscal and monetary policy are the primary tools recommended by Keynesian economists to manage the economy and fight unemployment. So, John Maynard Keynes was an early 20th century British economist, best known the founder of Keynesian economics and the father of the modern macroeconomics. And he considered that economics is the idea that government should actively try to influence the course of economies, and especially by increasing spending to stimulate demand in the face of recession. He considered British economist John Maynard Keynes was the founder of a Keynesian economics. Keynesian economics argues that demand drive supply to create jobs and boost consumer buying power during a recession. Keynes held the Keynes held that government should increase in spending. Government should increase expenditure, even if it means going into the debt. And Keynes, Keynes also considered that the most basic principle uh, is the demand, not supply. And demand is the driving force of an economy. And to increase the demand, the government should increase the expenditure and spending. And when the demand increase, the supply creates itself. Aggregate demand, that the total spending for the consumption of the goods and services by the private sector and the government drive supply. Total spending determines all economic outcomes from the production of goods to the employment rate. So, another basic principle of Keynesian economics is that the best way to pull an economy out of a recession is for the government to increase demand by infusing the economy with capital. In short, consumption. Consumption spending is the key of economic recovery. These two principles are the basic Keynesian beliefs that demand is so important. Keynes always focus on the demand. And even if a government has to go into debt to expand, it should do so. According to Keynes, the government boosting the economy in this way will increase the consumer demand, will turn uh, will increase the production and ensure for full employment. So, Keynes' ideas had a significant impact on economic policy and shaped the development of macroeconomics theory. In the in the period of Great Depression, his work laid the foundations for the expansion of government interventions in the economy, particularly during periods of economic instability. So, Victory's economic John Maynard Keynes considered our revolutions, spread our revolution in economic thinking that overturned the then prevailing idea that the free market would automatically provide full employment. That is, that everyone who wanted to a job would have one as long as workers were flexible in their ways demand. The main plank of the Keynes theory, which has come to wear his name, is the assertion that aggregate demand, measured as the sum of the spending by household, businesses, and the government, is the most important driving forces in an economy. Keynes further said that free market have no self-balancing mechanism that lead to full employment. Keynesian economy justify government intervention through public policies uh, that aim to achieve full employment and price stability. So Keynes argued that inadequate overall demand could lead to the economy for the full employment. Any increase in demand has to come from one of these. which can be out the economy from recession and depression. For example, during economic downturn, uncertainty often erodes consumer confidence, causing them to reduce their spending, especially on especially in depression. Aggregate demand is influenced by many economic decisions, public and private. Private sector decision can sometimes lead to adverse macroeconomics outcomes, such as reduction in the consumer spending during a recession. This is the reason these market failures sometimes call for active policies by the government, such as fiscal fiscal policy. Therefore, Keynes economics to support is a mixed economy guided mainly by the private sector but partly operated by the government. Price and especially wages respond slowly to changes in the supply and demand, resulting in the periodic shortage and surpluses, especially of labor. Changes in aggregate demand, whether anticipated or unanticipated, have their greatest short run effect on the real output and employment, not on price. Keynesian believes that because prices are somewhat rigid, fluctuation in any components of spending, consumption, investment, or government expenditure cause output to changes. Is government spending increases, for example, all other spending components remain constant, then output will increase. Keynesian model of economics actively also include a multiplier effect. So increasing spending on the consumption and lower taxes policy can increase the effective demand, and effective demand also increase the supply. So if the fiscal multiplier is greater than one, then a $1 increase in government spending will result in one increase in output greater than $1. So Keynesian economics gets his name theories, the principle from Petrus economic John Maynard Keynes, 1883 to 1946, who is regarded as the founder of modern macroeconomics. His most famous work, The General Theory of Employment, Interest and Money, was published in 1936, but its 1930 precursor, uh, a treatise on money, is often regarded as a more important to the economic thoughts. Until then, economics analyzed only one static condition, especially doing detailed examinations of the uh, snapshot of a rapidly moving process. Keynes in Teritice created a dynamic approach that the converted economics is to a study of the flow of incomes and expenditure. He opens up new starters for economic analysis. So, so Keynes argued that government should solve the problem of depression and recession by expanding expenditures expenditure and lower down the access and increase the effective demand. Hope Strand well understood the contribution Keynes in the macroeconomics. Now we discuss about the definitions of macroeconomics. According to Professor Atley, macroeconomics deals with economics affairs in the large. It concerned the overall dimensions of economic life. Thus, it deals with the major economic issues, problems, and policies. Professor Bolding, uh, Professor Bolding states that macroeconomics deals with no individual quantities as such, but with aggregates of these quantities, not with individual income, but with the national incomes, not with individual prices, but with the price level, not with individual output, but with the national output. So macroeconomics is a branch of economics that deals with the performance, structure, behavior, and decision making of an economy as a whole. This includes national and global economics. Macroeconomics study topics such as output, GDP, gross domestic product, and national income, unemployment, including unemployment rates, price indicates an inflation, consumption, saving, investment, and international trade and international finance. So, macroeconomics and microeconomics are the two general field in the economics. But the focus of the macroeconomics is often on a country or large entities like the whole world and how its market interact to the product large scale phenomena that economics refers to as aggregate variables. So macroeconomics is related to the whole economy. So, macroeconomics studies as what causes inflation, what stimulates economic growth, what factors leads to an economic depression, what causes unemployment, how can a government influence the GDP of a country. Basically, macroeconomics focuses on five main principles. What does macroeconomics study? The five main principles are economic output, economic growth, unemployment, inflation, deflation, and investment. Economic growth, economic output. Economic output is the primary indicator considered in macroeconomics. It is measured by the gross domestic product of a country or region. GDP calculated is one or two ways. Add up all the money spent by businesses, consumers, and government. Adjust to the remove effect of inflation and add to the money received by all participants in the economy just to remove the effect of inflation. So aggregate demand and supply create the model of determine the total economic output. Just like a economic growth is measured by the comparing GDP over time. This is calculated only with the basic formulas, and uh, I will also discuss about it, mainly GDP 2 minus GDP but divided by GDP 1. GDP 1 yani previous year GDP, GDP to current year GDP. It is important that the earlier GDP is the GDP 1. This will show in the growth is positive or negative. Just like it, macroeconomics also studies unemployment. Unemployment is also a major economic macroeconomic variable. Unemployment is the number of people who are not employed but are seeking employment. It doesn't include those not looking for one, such as children, retired people, and disabled people. Unemployment cannot be eliminated completely, but it can be sorted into different types as a cyclical unemployment related to the changes in the business cycle, and frictional unemployment relates to when people are actively searching for a job. Structural unemployment relates to a job eliminations because of economic structure changes. These can be combined to provide different ways of viewing unemployment overall. So natural unemployment is a combinations of frictional or structural unemployment. Thus, we also study it in the macroeconomics because this is the based on basic event like changing job or industries being in less demand. Uh, Natural unemployment is used to understand long-term trends. So, macroeconomics is the study of economic phenomena that affect an entire country or region. It explains economic fluctuation with aggregate supply and demand model. Macroeconomics has macroeconomics also study the whole economy. I think you have to understood what is the definitions and what is the macroeconomics. Now, macroeconomics does not deal with the individual units of economy. Individual unit also study in the microeconomics like a firms, but it deals with aggregates like national income, total unemployment. I have also studied it, aggregate demand, etc. It studies the problem related to the economy as a whole. The objective of macroeconomics is to study the problems, policies, principles relating to full employment of resources and growth of resources. Its goals are a high level and rapid growth of the output, low employment and price level stability. The subject matter of macroeconomics is full employment, national income, general price level, trade cycle, economic growth. Macroeconomics deals with economic aggregates like total employment, aggregate demand, etc., and the interdependence of these economic aggregates are studies in detail. Macroeconomics assumes factor distribution as given and tries to explain how full employment can be achieved. Macroeconomics analysis deals with the equilibrium between the forces of demand and supply of the economy as a whole. Aggregate supply and aggregate demand are expressed in terms of money, a total income and total expenditure. Thus, aggregate demand and and supply are related to total income. Macroeconomics is concerned with aggregates relates to the society as a whole, which is immortal in nature. Macroeconomics suffer from paradoxes. It means that the act which is beneficiate for an individual may disturb the working of the economy as a whole. The economy, for example, if an individual saves money, his family is benefited. But if unemployment will increase and the national income also decrease, but if all economy start to saving, it will be the reason for unemployment, and it will also increase the unemployment and national income also decrease. Thus, microeconomics may not hold good for the economy as a whole. Macroeconomics analyze initially concerned on short-term period where technological conditions, habits of people, population and availabilities of labor forces, etc. are constant. Hence, the norms of economic activities does not change. Keynes held that short-term analysis is more realistic. In the long term, all of us are dead. So economic problems should be solved from the short-term point of the view. As Professor Demberg has pointed out, macroeconomics is first and foremost a policy science. Macroeconomics is basically policy-oriented subject. It deals with macroeconomics policies to solve problem faced by the economy as a whole. Now, I strongly hope you well understood what is the field of the macroeconomics. Now, we also discussed the nature of the macroeconomics. I have also discussed with you macroeconomic studies and economic overall performance and behavior, focusing on factors like economic growth, unemployment, inflation, and government policy. Here you see also nature of macroeconomics, holistic view. Explanation, it focuses on the entire economy as a system. I have also discussed with you analyzing the national unemployment rate aggregates. Macroeconomics studies total economic quantities. It means calculating gross domestic product. Big picture, it emphasizes broad economic trends, analyzing the business cycle traces. Policy emphasis, it informs government decision and actions, evaluating the impact of fiscal stimulus, unemployment and inflation. Macroeconomics examine the causes and effect of both. studying how inflation affects purchasing. Global perspective, it considers international economic relations, analyzing the effect of trade on GDP. Long-term growth, macroeconomics explore factor driving sustainable growth, studying investments in education and R&D. Stability goal, it aims for steady economic condition, implementing policies to curb inflation. Data analysis, it relies on economic data and statistics using historical GDP data to forecast. And interdisciplinary macroeconomics draw from various related disciplinary, including sociology in income studies, causalities and correlations. It analyzes relationship between variables. Investigation links between saving and GDP. Real and nominal variables. It distinguishes between the price adjustment data, comparing real and nominal wage growth. Macro macroeconomics model. It simplified the framework for analysis using the ISLM model to predict interest rate, global impact, macroeconomics acknowledges cross-border effect, exploring how a recession spread globally. Evaluation nature, it it adapts to changing economics landscape and studying the impact of digital economics. So macroeconomics study the whole. So we can say macroeconomics examines economies as a national, global level, analyzing factors, GDP, unemployment, and inflation. It guides policy formulations, predict trends, and ensure stable economic growth, offering crucial insight into countries' overall economic health and prospects. Macroeconomics examine the economy as a whole, focusing on broad factors like GDP, inflation, and unemployment. For example, macroeconomics policies such as increasing government spending and lowering interest rates can stimulate economic activity. If a country faces high unemployment, these measures aim to boost job creations, increase consumer spending, and ultimately drive economic growth. So, macroeconomics is the study of aggregates or average covering the entire economy, such as total employment, national income, national output, total investment, total consumption, total saving, aggregate supply, aggregate demand, and general price level, wage level, and cost structure. Macroeconomics also devote itself to such questions as how business activity, how the price level is influenced by an increasing in aggregate volume of employment, and in what way the changes in aggregate saving and investment affect the level of national income. Macroeconomics gained great prominence if affect the publication of Keynes Keynes' monumental work, The General Theory. The scope of the macroeconomics contributed to get more and more widened in the subsequent decades. So so macroeconomics is an extremely useful from the point of view of various economic policies. Macroeconomics has a special significance in studying the causes, effect, and remedies of general unemployment. The study of macroeconomics is very important for evaluating the overall performance of the economy in terms of national income. The economies of growth is also studied in macroeconomics through the evaluations of resources and capabilities of an economy. And in terms of macroeconomics, the monetary problems can be analyzed and understood properly. The macroeconomics importance lies in analyzing the causes of economics fluctuations and its providing remedies as it was stated after the Great Depression. So, for understanding the behavior of individual units, the study of macroeconomics is very important. So, conclusively, we can say macroeconomics enriches our knowledge, the functioning of an economy by studying the behavior of national income, output, investment, saving, and consumption. Moreover, it throws such light in solving the problems of unemployment, inflation, economic instability, and economic growth. Hope strength, you well understood what is the meaning of macroeconomics, what is the nature of macroeconomics, and the contribution of the keys for the macroeconomics. Now, thank you. Thank you very much.